REALPOLITIK. I'm Anthony Durgans. I am a research officer at Lobby Group, and we are continuing our discussion on is there a genocide on the Black agenda. So, Rebecca, continuing from the previous question, I was asking you whether you believe African Americans know that there is a genocide program against them, or do they know and they don't know what to do? Can you recap that?
Yes, there is a mixed school of thought. Some African Americans see the warning signs, the flags, that indicate that there could very well be a genocide agenda against their population group. On the other hand, however, other African Americans do not know and do not research such information to enlighten themselves on the issue. In terms of how African Americans respond to a possible genocide agenda, they feel ill-equipped to deal with it by themselves alone. It seems like it's more than an individual can handle or an individual family. It would require a greater network of support amongst the African American population group to actually deal with an issue that's systemic in nature. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, I do.
It would require more coalition, a community partnership from within themselves to address those issues from a variety of, dimensions that genocide touches, because it is systemic, so it's institutionalized in nature. Additionally, it's very important for African Americans to understand that even though it's a lot to handle as an individual, it's in their best interest to handle it, individual or not, by bringing more awareness to the issue and actually networking with their family and friends to kind of build that support network that the African American population needs.
I see. So, in your view, what are the major practices that African Americans are engaging in that make them vulnerable to conditions that can be equated with genocide?
That's a good question. The practices that African Americans engage in is along the lines of a lack of methodology, a lack of approach. Firstly, African Americans don't necessarily address genocide specifically as a possibility or probability, for that matter. It would be important to not shy away from the issue, but actually confront the issue and work with, community members and leaders to find a solution to insulate themselves from that political vulnerability. Because the reason why we are, having this conversation in the first place is because the African American population group is vulnerable in political position in so much that it could happen and they would have very little means to defend themselves or insulate themselves from that kind of agenda if it were, to occur.
Right.
What could they do, right? They're scattered and disorganized. And that's a perfect situation for a genocide to take place, to a scattered, disorganized people. Now, if we look back in history to what took place in Nazi Germany, the diaspora, according to historians, was scattered. And the targeted group was in different parts of the world, in, clusters. They weren't necessarily organized to insulate themselves from a, genocidal agenda. And that's why it took them by surprise. So having a diaspora, having a scattered means of lack of organization is a ripe candidate for any genocide agenda.
I see. So, do you think that the reason why African Americans tend to engage in such practices is because our African American leaders do not understand, have not addressed the power difference dynamics in our political struggle?
In a word, yes. The leaders of the African American community, they have a tendency to fall into ideological constructs and let those frameworks actually lock them in and bar them from contacting other leaders who may have a solution for things that they don't know anything about or they're not equipped to handle or manage. So it would require the leaders to work together to deal with this issue and not to let their ideological differences keep them from addressing an issue that affects their whole population group, including themselves. And what's very important for our leaders to understand is leverage. If they feel as if though that it is an option to address issues that affect the African American population group, viewing themselves as a distinct other from that population group that they're supposed to represent, is a misnomer in reasoning. It shows that they don't really understand how politics work, because there is something, the way it works in the United States is kind of a group-based system. Basically, people are categorized on their group, and the strength of their group determines the strength of that individual. And so if that individual is just outstanding and extraordinary, and they don't necessarily fall in the same kind of traps or obstacles that the rest of their group does, it does not necessarily mean that they're powerful, but rather they're given permission to experience privileges. See, if something were to happen where their privileges are taken away from them, those leaders, those African American leaders, have to think, well, who has my back? Who's got my back? What can I do to protect myself from, the withdrawal of these privileges that I'm enjoying now? What leverage do I have to keep that from happening to me? What can I do to keep, institutions or other interest groups from seizing my wealth, seizing my success, seizing my reputation, and running off with it? And then also, leaders have to think that if they continue to underperform the interests of the African American population group, then there goes their power base. And they're only as significant as their power base. A lot of leaders think that they are some exception to the rule, where you have, people who, where you have people actually, tell them that if you turn a blind eye to this, you can have this.
Yeah.
And they think that they're given an opportunity, but it's more like a threat. They're saying, do this or else. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And African American leaders are subject to the same exploitation and danger that their constituents are subjected to. And they're human too. They live, breathe, and breathe the same as the rest of us. So they can also be harmed by just allowing the African American population group to be harmed. They're subject to the same harm: poverty, slavery, etc. Incarceration, whatnot. Additionally, it's very important for leaders to understand that African Americans will no longer support them if they continue to underperform, accumulating and maximizing our interests. And if they lose the African American power base, then the opposing, interest group that controls those African American leaders won't have a use for them. We won't have a use for them, and they themselves won't have a use for themselves. So it's in their best interest to perform well and to perform sincerely and smartly, not just to work hard, but to work smart.
Right. Okay, so if our leaders can be subject to artificial behavior modification and compromising their character and decision-making powers, how can we hold them accountable?
We would still need to hold them accountable, because it is not in our interest to have a defective leader representing our interests. In a corporation, you would have a shareholders meeting, and the shareholders would vote out that CEO, regardless of the situation. If there's a health issue, if there's, a competence issue or a scandal, they would vote that CEO out and give him or her a replacement chief executive officer to represent the company and to represent stakeholders' interests. When it comes to our leaders, I think they should be, if they're sincere, they should be willing to screen themselves. Those who are a current leader should be willing to screen themselves to make sure that they're not, that there's no conflict of interest, whether artificial or otherwise. Additionally, new leaders that replace leaders who have been dethroned or abdicated, removed from power, for that matter, they should be